Yo, what's up, UTSA Underground? My name's Martini. Let's get it.
Who dares rouse me from my slumber? I am the destroyer of all things. You dare challenge me? Enter the dragon.
Yo, are y'all ready to throw down?
When I lose control.
It's time to get this thing started.
Yo, I hope everybody's ready to throw down right now. Let's go.
Womp womp. Yo, what's that? Womp womp.
Yo, shout out Pyro 7 right now for this track. Yo, I hope everybody's doing good and being safe. Because I know I am. Yo, who's ready to throw some elbows?
DJ run that shot there. a sound boy killer.
We're gonna drink till the morning.
Monsters.
Switch it up.
Yo, where's all my weeble wobbles out there? Let's go.
Weeble. Never mind.
A weeble wobble for that.
That's that AKO's new remix right now, the phase 1. Yo, where's all my headbangers at? Let's go. Let's go. One, two, ready, and
Here we go now.
yo, I need everybody to jump on this drop dance right now. Let's go. If you're not jumping, you ain't bumping. This song, let's go fast right now. You ready? 1, 2, ready, and
Okay, some.
that shit like a baby, white. Salute your boy, yeah, I'm the Navy type.
Surrender now. We shall consider being merciful. It is over, Curtis. Now Aztec is on your front. Woods at your back. My troops out behind you. 3, 2, 1. Surrender.
VIP.
Yo, once again, my name is Martini. If you're enjoying yourself, put your hands in the air. I may not be able to see you, but I know they're up. And let's party one last time. Ready?
I'll go all the way. All this I've been doing right. All this you cannot relate to me. I cannot relate. Truly, I'll be all the way. All this I've been doing right. All this you cannot relate to me. I cannot relate. Truly, I don't wanna know about why never seen us on the scene. If you wanna go.
Alright, we're gonna party one last time right now. Let's get it.
For this girl's amazing. Baby got ass, she caking. She turning up for the Instagram. Told her come over and shake it. She get a twerk and dancing. Get on the table.
I need everybody jump on this drop.
Open the hole where she's standing. She make it clear for the camera.
M4rtini. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the virtual underground experience of 2020. So this is actually an entire experiment that Musicians in Business is trying out for the first time. Now, with this entire pandemic that's going on, we're switching on from the actual festival to a virtual festival happening from May 4th to May 8th. That is during Underground Week. Not only will you see all these different bands, acts, DJs, performances, being streamed live and also just released during Underground Week, but now you actually get to meet the artists as well. So today we're actually going to be interviewing one of our local San Antonio DJs, EDM DJs, M4rtini. So everyone give it up for Andrew Martinez.
What's up?
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, Andrew. Blake and I are actually going to be interviewing you today. We're just going to be going back and forth, asking you some questions on your music, your musical aspirations, and, where you're headed along in the journey, and kind of how the EDM world is changing and what your sound is.
Yeah, that sounds sick. Let's get it. Okay,
cool. So first, starting off, just, feel free to introduce yourself, Andrew, what kind of music you create, how you create it, and, tell us a little bit about your role in the group of Vivid Productions.
So I'm M4rtini. What's up? Yeah, I produce like heavy dubstep, trap, and like future bass tracks. I've been producing for a little over, I think it's 2 years now, but I've been DJing for like 6. I played my first artist showcase with Baked Up in Austin, and then I came back and I started, putting out more of my music and trying to push it on, like, so I can get more shows. And then I came across Vivid, and they let me do another showcase. And immediately after my first set, they're like, yo, like, we need you on team. So basically my role in the team, I'm a performer. So anytime I go on, I guess I'm throwing down and I'm interacting with the crowd. But I mean, that's basically it. We're just a bunch of friends hanging out, making music, DJing. I mean, it's really fun. I like it.
Cool. And Andrew, how is your sound a little bit different than everybody else on the team?
So my sound, I'm usually more, I guess my specialty would be like vocal chopping, being like pitch automation. I really like a loud like screech. It's usually more of like just heavy, like just in your face screeching, but it also sounds cool at the same time. So we can throw down with that.
It's good to hear that you got a collaboration with Dubs, man. Congrats on that. Could you further give us some more insight on how the coronavirus has affected your overall creative practice and what you can take from it, negative and also positive?
Not a lot of people know this, but I work full time at H.E.B. So with the whole coronavirus going in, they've been scheduling me a lot more hours. So it's kind of taking me away from production. But at the same time, when they schedule me more towards like, I guess the end of the work week, they give me more time off to kind of balance that so I don't get as much overtime. So I'm spending a lot more time in the studio, just kind of perfecting my craft. I've been doing a bunch of, I guess like mentoring with all the other local artists here. One of my really good friends, Pyro, George Toscano, Blaze, hitting them up for different ideas and different ways of production. I mean, obviously the negative thing that I can take away from that, I don't get to see all my friends and I don't get to play the shows, but I still managed to put my stuff out there. We released a live stream video with Vivid last week. I've done a bunch of like live streams on Instagram and stuff like that, of just like my production tips and tricks, whatever. I've been using TikTok a lot. That's awesome. Yeah, I think I got like 40, I think it's at 44.5 thousand views on my new song that's coming out. So that was definitely a trip for me. Yeah.
That's a big trip, especially on TikTok. And it's so new and it's so popular. I actually used to make fun of it, but it seems like everybody uses it. And I saw a couple of videos and I feel like it's kind of addicting, like, what was the old version of it?
Vine.
Yeah, it's kind of like Vine, that's kind of what it reminds me of. And, I'm just curious about the process of you making music. What does the creative process look like for you? And do you ever try to send any musical messages out there to the people when creating this music, or is it kind of just spontaneous?
It's kind of hard. So with my newest song that I'm about to release, it started off with just a vocal. It's trap like, and it's just saying like, "Yo, we want to trap like," and it's like, okay, how am I gonna make this into some type of like musical thing where I can just create this energy? And so usually what I'll do is I'll chop up the vocal and align it in a way that I can line it up with drums. So it's just like, I don't know, just play the beat in my head and just lay it out. And if I don't like it, then I'm like, all right, we'll scrap that idea. And then later on, I'll start with the drop. And it's weird because some people will start with the drop first and then work their way around. But usually I'll start with like the intro, mess with the vocals, and then take that intro and sort of find a way to integrate it. It works for me. It's very messy all over the place, but just martini, just throwing down, shaken, not stirred. I don't know.
Nice.
So, I mean, I guess like the musical message in my future bass is really just to feel the music come like from within inside you. Because my future bass is real like chord bass. It's real big. It's real, I don't know, I mean, Millennium.
Yeah, I love
you know, Lewis the Child, you got Seven Lions, all just real like passionate, real, I don't know, it's very inexplainable, but I have some songs out right now, so.
Nice. I really like that, you know, especially like that you're more of a vocalist when it comes to the EDM music, because a lot of it's instrumental. And we just did an interview actually with Tristan Garcia yesterday. And it's funny because he was more into like excision, more into heavy bass. Whenever I brought up Lewis the Child, he was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So yeah, that's really dope. You're more into like the vocalist, like the passion. That's awesome.
It's and a bunch of underground artists, like I'll go on SoundCloud and I'll just start crate digging and just look for like those underground artists that aren't really, the big artists are really cool and all, but I think the real like EDM comes from those guys. It's just so much undiscovered sound that you know, I can kind of learn and you know, and potentially become friends with them. For instance, my friend Rico Act, he's got a song with Riot 10, Rail Breakers. You know, like all my headbangers, break your, you know the rest. And so we have actually become really good friends, and we go back and forth. We send each other fishing videos, skateboarding videos, all that. So I mean, it's just a really big community. So
talking about skateboarding, you know, like skateboarders have like a whole story and, you know, history to what they can see and experience on their own. Can you give us any insight on what like a someone who's a fan might see at a show, or could you give us an instance of like the most unexpected thing that you've had in your creative career so far?
Yeah, a little bit of background on me. I've been skateboarding all my life. I mean, as long as I can remember, I've been just a part of the skateboarding community. So this is sort of how I got my name, how I got my artist name. So back in the day, Instagram, you know, it was popping, it was a new thing. And I just changed my name to Andrew_Martini. And it was something dumb before, I don't even remember. But I rolled into the park one day and all my friends were there, we were skating. And then this one guy recognized me from my Instagram and he's like, "Yo, Martini." And I was like, it caught me so off guard. And I was like, "Yo, what's up?" Like, I didn't even say anything about it. I mean, after that, that's just been my nickname. They started calling me it everywhere. And so I think I DJ'd this high school party. And again, somebody introduced me as Martini, and I was like, all right, well, I guess this is gonna happen. Everywhere I went, I was just calling myself Martini. Also, a little fun fact, I used to be a cheerleading coach at Champions Tumbling and Cheerleading Gym. Yeah, my best friend. And so I did a bunch of backflips at all my like DJ sets. I did it at Vivid. They all do this to me. They take out their phones and they're recording on Snapchat and they're like, "Is it backflip time?" I'm like, "Oh, great." So right before the drop, I'll do a backflip and everybody goes crazy. So going back to like the skateboarding, it's kind of weird how I didn't think my life would end up where I am now. I always thought it would be like, okay, I'm gonna try and do something with skateboarding, whether it be try to go pro, all that. And I was in a bunch of competitions. I went to Houston. I actually won first place in Las Vegas. That was fun. Yeah, that was in 2014. I don't know. I think I was just really set on skateboarding. And then somewhere along the way, I fell upon music, and here I am.
Damn, that's pretty awesome. And you know, they can even coincide with each other because there's a lot of skateboarders that I know that are very artistic.
Oh yeah.
So, you know how visuals are a big thing for EDM artists whenever they're playing their music? It could be the same thing. Who knows? You can literally create like a skating rink and then have, you know, like skateboarding become part of the music, become part of the visual. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's pretty dope. I know that the life of a DJ can be pretty insane. It can be pretty crazy, you know, especially touring and just being with your homies in Vivid Productions whenever you're performing. So, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Oh boy.
Or anything, like any touring stories that you have.
Okay, so we were in Austin for Pyro's. It was his first headlining show, and we all rented a hotel, and we showed up, and I guess we got there, and we didn't really know who was gonna pay for the hotel or whatever. Like we just knew we were gonna get a hotel. We didn't really know how it was gonna happen. So we get there. Nobody has their cards. Nobody has cash. I left my wallet back home, so I was like, I have Venmo. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So we ended up going to we went to a gas station, and they were like, yo, you can't, the max you can take out is $50. So we had to go to like each gas station to take out like $50 to rent this hotel. We get there, we give him the money, and he's like, oh, you need another $100 deposit, you know, just in case anything happens. So we're like, we just paid like $100 for the room. Like, what do you mean we need $100 for a deposit? And they're like, yeah, we kind of need that. So I think we were like 15 minutes late to his set. And they were like, we don't know if you're going to be able to play. And we're like, okay. So we ended up playing, our manager was just like, you know, like we had to jump through a bunch of hoops and stuff. So we ended up playing. But the second time that something happened like that, me and George Toscano, we were going to Austin again, and we were playing it was somebody else. Anyways, he quit his mid set, and he was like, I can't work with the CDJs. Like I don't have my USB isn't working. So he brought us on stage, and it's actually on my Instagram, and we threw down. There was tons of people. I think there was probably like hundreds it wasn't thousands, but it was definitely in the hundreds. There's so many people at the Austin Vulcan company, Vulcan Gas Company. And that was fun. That was probably my most fun sets that I've ever thrown. So it was cool.
Damn. So everything just worked out. The stars just aligned. It happened.
Yeah, I've had a lot of instances where people would just be like, hey, like this guy didn't show up. Like, you want to play? And I'm like, okay. And I think the most fun that I have is on unprepared sets. Because usually you'll go through this, well, at least I use Rekordbox, and I'll try to get all the songs that I want to play, you know, before a set. But if something happens unexpectedly, you know, I can't really prepare. So that's where freestyling comes in, and it's just like, all right, what can we fill out the crowd? Like, what's gonna throw down? Like, that's probably like one of the sickest feelings in the world, is just throwing down unprepared, knowing that you did it. So
it definitely sounds like you're in the life of the unexpected, going out on a trip into another city with no cards, no money, no idea what's going to happen, but you have this loving idea to want to perform. That almost reminds me of a clip from Skate Dreams, where they go to the hotel and they don't have any money, and so they rob the candy machine of all the money using a bill with tape.
Oh man.
Let me continue the conversation by asking you, where do you see your creative career in the next, let's say, like 1 to 2 years or 3 to 4 years?
You know, I don't really know. I would want to have it be where I can go on tour and stuff like that. Realistically, it's going to be a little bit harder just because of what's going on now, and with my full-time job wanting me, you know, more hours and more stuff. But music-wise, I feel like if I can push myself and keep doing what I'm doing, I could end up at least dropping a song with Pyro, George Toscano, and Blaze's label, which is called MMXVAC, and hopefully get on their Gridlock management team, because they're doing big things right now. I know Pyro, George, they have songs with Riot 10. Pyro and George are like my close friends. I actually met them in the scene. Pyro's 17 years old. His song was played out at Lost Lands, EDC, all of that. Same with George Toscano. George Toscano's 22 and I'm 23. So, you know, just using my connections and just, you know, having fun with it as well. So, and And the other thing is I feel that it's more fun to make the music and, kind of play out for fun. Like, I don't even care if I don't get paid. Obviously, if I do, it's a plus. But, some of these shows, sometimes there's no payout, and that's okay, because having more fun or having fun is sort of, it weighs out, than getting paid right now. So hopefully I see myself making big moves. But for right now, I'm just kind of taking my time and soaking everything in and trying to perfect my craft.
Nice. It was pretty awesome, especially with networking and just using your connections to get those things done. And I like how you say not getting paid right now.
Yeah.
With music, it almost feels like when it becomes more of your work and you decide that it's going to be your life's career, like there's got to be some type of schedule. But
yeah.
It's better when it doesn't even feel like working, and it just feels like the passion is just like it's not working because it's just what you love to do.
Yeah,
definitely. That's pretty awesome. So, Martini, I know that for a lot of musicians, DJs, they're easily discouraged when people aren't on their side, or things don't always look so bright for their music. And then there's those times when you feel like you're on top of the world, and but you don't want to get complacent with what you're doing. So how do you keep yourself thriving, motivated as a musician and as a DJ?
Honestly, TikTok. I know I brought that up in the beginning. TikTok is sick because you put out this music that, that I feel that I guess I'm my worst judge, or what is it? I criticize myself the most. So I kind of like lean more towards like, I don't want to put this out because it doesn't sound good. But on TikTok, like, I recorded that song that I didn't think that it was going to sound good, and I got so much good feedback. And so I started putting out more and more of my work in progresses, and it's like, okay, so it's pretty nice. Twitter is also a really good place. I mean, EDM Twitter is the best, in my opinion, because 3 years ago, I wasn't on quote unquote EDM Twitter. I wasn't posting anything about like DJing or anything like that, and it was toxic. So it's definitely a good place, and also surrounding yourself with people who have the same passion as you. I'll be sending whips to what's his name? Tristan. I'll be sending it to Anthony. I'll send it to all the Vivid crew. They're like, yo, that's sick. Like, maybe you can turn this up, or maybe like you can mess with the automation on this to make it sound sick. So it's really just a positive community. Like I said, I'm kind of my worst critic, and how I guess go about, I guess, negative thoughts in my head when I'm working on a song is I'll start a new one, and I have a bunch of work in progresses, and sometimes I'll go back to them and sometimes I won't, and that's just part of the process. So
that sounds awesome that you're using this time to benefit your whole entire career through TikTok, especially from something that you don't even understand that it was going to be there like 2 years ago, and now you're here. I totally understand where your motivational drive is coming from. And pro bono and artist careers is just like a must-have. You got to do that free.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me get on to this next question. It says, who and what inspires your music? What other bands or artists are you most influenced by? So like on that note, could you give us an insight of like what is pulling you into this artist career, or what you dream or inspired to get out of it?
Really, when I started, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe back in 2010, Excision. I mean, that's when I first came around, EDM music. And Excision was just dropping that really heavy, like, it was just sound to me. And I was like, okay, that sounds like really sick. Like, I can really get into it. And then Skrillex, with Call 911. Like that whole thing was just huge. And so I guess it just really pulled me into like, I guess like, the beats and just like having it, it almost, and it sounds tacky to say, but it like flew through me. So I was like vibing really hard. And I guess as time went on, more and more artists started coming up. So you have, you had Skrillex, Excision, Bro Safari, you had Steve Aoki, what was that? LMFAO, all the like the 2011 through like 2015, all that was popping. And then I guess it didn't really change for me until recently, because that's when I started expanding more. So Illenium, Seven Lions, Trivecta, really pulled out my melodic creativity, while meeting, well, at the same time I heard them, I met Pyro and Hey. And so they're actually 16 and 17-year-olds. And I was like, this is insane. Like, how are you guys making this music? And so they're really my biggest inspirations just because they're so young. And I wish that looking back at it now, that I was in their shoes, you know, experimenting and all that. So those are really my biggest inspirations. But as far as like big artists, like Tizoki, it's an actual, what is it whenever you rearrange letters to make a word? Is it anagram? But Tizoki is if you mix the words around, it says it's okay. When I heard that, I was like, okay, so this guy really put a lot of thought into his music, and listening to his music, he makes everything from the drums to the snare, to ambiences in the back, and he actually shows how to do it too, on his Instagram, YouTube, all of that. So there's a lot of inspiration
Wow.
that I pulled from my journey. So
That's awesome. And that's really cool to see how that kind of changed for you over the years, you know?
yeah.
I was actually at EDC Orlando, and I got a chance to see Steve Aoki, Excision. He is extremely heavy, and it just feels like this whole energy just overcoming your body. Like everybody looks like they're going through some kind of exorcism process. That's literally what it is. And then I like how you kind of said Seven Lions and more of the, like Seven Lions, Alice in Wonderland. It's more like an experience because of the way that it meshes together. So yeah. Okay, so now that we're done with our artist questions for you and more about your music and musical aspirations, we are going to ask you a couple questions of would you rathers to see what you would do in certain types of situations. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Would you rather go on a date with Rez or Alice in Wonderland?
I would probably want to go on a date with Rez, just because I don't know. I just want to get into more her style of music. I don't even think I'd be going on a date with Rez. I'd be going on a date with the process of her mind of how she makes music.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd really be interested in, I guess, like more of her music.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like an intention behind this date.
Yeah.
But you're getting something out of this. Okay.
I got a question. Either travel the whole entire country and become famous, or travel the whole world and not become famous.
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. I think I would travel the world and not become famous because, I don't really get to go out as much. Like, I'm stuck in Texas, I feel like sometimes. And I feel like going anywhere else wouldn't feel the same as like being famous and stuff. I'd be like, I get bored of it. Being able to travel the world and not be famous, you're not really restricted to anything, I would definitely do that.
Here's your last would you rather question. Would you rather get stuck in the elevator with Tizoki or Excision?
Definitely. Well, I've been stuck in an elevator before, so I know how that is. Definitely Tizoki. I think he's from the UK, so he's got a cool accent, and hopefully he brought his computer because we'd definitely be throwing down some beats. And also, going back to how I'm more like vocal chops and everything like that, so is he. So I can kind of relate to him more. You said the other person's Excision, right?
Yeah.
I'd be fangirling way too much. I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
Really? Yeah. Not even no conversation, just totally.
Yeah, I feel, because I saw him right actually before the quarantine, I guess, started, or the coronavirus hit. He was the last show that I went to, and I was just in pure like awe, like it was insane.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay, so Andrew, one last question before we move on to closing this and wrapping this up. But what advice would you give out there to local San Antonio artists and DJs that are really trying to break into the EDM scene?
Go for it. Don't hold back on anything. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment or anything. I started off with a laptop and a computer mouse. Everything is available online. Like, you can learn everything through YouTube. That's what I did. And from there, just ask your friends. Like, don't be afraid to ask anybody. I get a bunch of DMs in my inbox, and I'm always really quick to respond, and I'll send back feedback. I actually have a playlist that I send people on YouTube. Everything that I learned, I just send them right to them. Like, look, everything that you need to know is in this playlist, and just do with what you want with it. It's truly an experience if you get into making music. There's going to be ups and downs, but you have to keep pushing. And I think that's the most dead honest answer I can give. You just got to go for it. Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that advice, Andrew Martini. That's really dope.
I got
You
one.
know, just to wrap this up, I just want to say that I know it's really difficult for EDM artists, especially this kind of age, because it's so competitive. But it definitely helps because the EDM scene, especially, it's a family. Everybody's so helpful, especially when it comes to like advice and critiques. You know, I think that's what makes it different compared to other genres. Like, I wish I was in rock. I wish I was in punk. I wish I was in rap. You know, but hopefully those will start to develop. But I'm also just a sucker for EDM at the same time. So, yeah, that's probably also why I'm saying all this. But anyway, I just want to say that on behalf of M.O.B, on behalf of musicians and business, we will always encourage you. We'll always support your music. We'll always promote you. You know, and honestly, we're really proud because it's really tough to do this and to really not get distracted by all the noise. So, you know, thanks for just having the courage to do all this. And everyone, go ahead, follow Martini on Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram. We'll put all the socials down below. Also, feel free to follow us as well, UTSA_M.O.B, Musicians of Business on Instagram and Facebook, UTSA Underground. And stay tuned for the up-and-coming local performances and interviews that are going to be coming out on Underground Week, May 4th to May 8th. So that is all the time that we have for today, guys. But again, give another round of applause for Martini.
Martini, I got one more question.
What's up, big man?
Man, I was at that concert with Incision, man. I was at Cowboys Dance Hall right before the that was a great concert, but I was like, man, where's all the 100,000 watt of bass?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what I would ask Incision, but I'm asking Martini right now. Hey, man, is it backflip time right now?
Oh,
Yo,
dude.
Hey, is it backflip time right now?
Dude, I'm on the third.
Hey, Martini, is it backflip time right now? Oh, let's go. Come on, Martini, let's go. Hey, let's go.
Yo, I'm on the third floor, and I hope my neighbors didn't, hate me, so. That's okay.
Funny. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And everybody, again, welcome to the Virtual Underground Experience. See you guys next time.